everyone, it's Nicole again, and I'm back to finish the 7th report that we're going through, which would be Detective Chris Nelson. We left off at page 60 out of the 214-page investigation from Carver County. And we are on lead number 6 and 7, which for some crazy reason they're counting as 2 people, but they were interviewed as 1 person. So, paragraph 20. After I completed my follow-up with Dr. Schulenberg, I entered the conference room and met with Hannah and Joshua Welton. I was advised by Hannah that they had a doctor's appointment and needed to get going soon. Hannah was pregnant and it was a doctor's appointment for the baby. I decided to interview them together because of the appointment. I read Hannah and Joshua the recorded statement form and asked for a voluntary statement from them at 11:45 a.m. on 4/21/16. Hannah and Joshua agreed to provide a statement to me. Okay, so the first wow moment so far in this tiny little paragraph is Hannah and Josh were close with Prince on a few levels, and yes, a prenatal appointment is absolutely important. I'm just going to say it. That could have been rescheduled. Someone passed away. Someone important to them passed away. And it just kind of seems to me like the appointment couldn't have been more convenient. Now, do I think that this was done ahead of time? Is there a conspiracy around that? No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that, okay, so I'm a mom, and I've been pregnant before, and obviously, and I know that if I had a prenatal appointment that was scheduled and that all of a sudden I find out that someone close to me has passed away, I'm not going to the prenatal appointment. I will reschedule that. So there's that. But there's also this whole, like, privacy with Prince, and maybe Josh and Hannah didn't know what to say at that point and utilized the doctor's appointment that they knew they had. Okay, so that's just weird that, to me, in my personal opinion, and I know that everybody isn't going to agree with me, and that's okay, but it just strikes me as very odd that Hannah and Josh would still go to their appointment, given the fact that Prince has died. Also, I feel that it is very, well, unprofessional in the first place to say as a detective, okay, you two have an appointment for the baby, so for that reason, we're going to go ahead and interview these 2 together. That was another fail, in my own opinion. All right. Joshua said Hannah was discovered on YouTube by Prince and was asked to play in his band. Joshua said he was married to Hannah, so he moved with Hannah to Minnesota. Joshua said Prince was religious, as was Joshua, and that this is how they got along so good with each other. Joshua advised that he and Hannah met Prince in the year of 2012. Joshua said that he produced a record with Prince later and worked with him on other projects over the years. I asked Joshua what had brought him and Hannah to Paisley Park today on 4/21/16, and Joshua said Marone called him. Joshua said that basically he, Hannah, Kirk, and Marone were the only ones that had been around with Prince lately. What about Judith? What about Larry? Joshua went to the movies on the previous Monday with Prince and the group. They went out to eat and watched a jazz performance at the Dakota. Joshua and Hannah said that was the last time that they saw Prince. I asked Joshua and Hannah if Prince made comments about the way he was feeling to them. Joshua said since he was close to Prince, felt like Prince was just cruising. Joshua said, you know when someone is vibrant and you know when they are low. Joshua said Prince was toward the middle, calling it cruising. I asked about if they knew if Prince had any issues with drugs. Hannah and Joshua said that their core values were not to be a part of Prince's band if Prince was into that. Joshua and Hannah stated they did not see any drug use or know of any past drug use with Prince. Joshua said the main way he communicated with Prince was through email almost daily. I asked Joshua and Hannah if they knew anything about the emergency landing that occurred in Atlanta, Georgia. Joshua said they had only heard about the emergency from a friend in Atlanta. But by the time the friend called, see, I got a real, the friend, like, who's the friend? But by the time the friend called, Prince was back in Minnesota. Joshua said Kirk had told them that Kirk made the call to land because Prince was not himself or responsive. Let me read that one more time. Joshua said Kirk had told them that Kirk made the call to land because Prince was not himself or responsive. Well, what we read already about that is that he was not responsive, so I'm not sure where he's not himself comes into this, but okay. I might be just nitpicky a little bit. Okay. When they landed, the paramedics came, and Prince snapped back into it. That's not what we read. Okay. Prince wanted to get back home, but another plane had to come and pick Prince up because of the pilot's 12-hour rule. I asked what company the flight was booked through and was advised it was Signature by the airport. I then asked about the phone call they received from Marone on 4/21/16. Joshua said Marone was hysterical and just said, "Come to Paisley." Joshua said Kirk sent him a text message that said, "Just come to Paisley." I asked Hannah and Joshua who was at Paisley Park when they arrived. Hannah said Marone and Kirk. Joshua then said the doctor, who has not met, and Andrew, who Joshua said he has never met. Joshua included Kirk and Marone and then a bunch of paramedics. Let's read that again. I asked Hannah and Joshua who was at Paisley Park when they arrived. Hannah said Marone and Kirk. Joshua then said the doctor, who has not met, and Andrew. And Andrew. So what that tells me is that Andrew is not being referred to as the doctor by Joshua. So those are two separate people. So it can't be that anyone thought that Andrew was the doctor or that the doctor was Andrew. Okay. Joshua then said, the doctor who has not met, and these typos are unreal in this entire investigation. It's just, doesn't anyone proofread their work? That's confusing. Who has not met. What is that? Joshua then said the doctor who has not met, and Andrew who Joshua said he has never met. That makes me think that because the word never was not used with the first doctor, that maybe Joshua knows who Dr. Schulenberg is. Joshua then said, the doctor who has not met, and Andrew who Joshua said he has never met. Joshua included Kirk and Marone and then a bunch of paramedics. Okay. I asked again about any drug use, and Hannah and Joshua said they never observed anything other than Prince taking an Advil. Hannah and Joshua said from time to time Prince would consume alcohol, but not to the point of intoxication. Hannah and Joshua said it was hard to understand what was going on. Hannah and Joshua said they were concerned about protecting Prince's property and his legacy. I asked Joshua about security cameras, and Josh said they were not working because Prince did not live in fear. I have a really hard time with that sentence. Joshua and Hannah advised they had no other information on the incident, and I ended our conversation. Okay, so then why are security cameras even a part of Paisley Park if the reason that they're not working on the 21st is because Prince didn't live in fear? I mean, were there cameras installed because at one point he lived in fear? No. No. All right. I showed Joshua and Hannah the way out so they could leave for their doctor's appointment. I showed Joshua and Hannah the way out so that they could leave for their doctor's appointment. Don't they know Paisley Park? Okay. I then met with Detective Pat Murphy and asked if there was anyone else at the office to interview. Really quick, I wanted to ask if anybody is watching this and knows where Josh and Hannah lived in terms of like around Paisley Park. Like, how far away did they live? Did they live just around the corner? Were they the closest two people to Prince's house at that point? I'm just curious about that. Okay. I showed Joshua and Hannah the way out so they could leave for their doctor's appointment. I then met with Detective Pat Murphy and asked if there was anyone else at the office to interview. Detective Murphy advised he had talked with Marone, but Marone did not want to provide a statement. Marone said it was because she had signed a confidentiality agreement with Prince and did not want to violate the agreement. Detective Murphy said he gave Marone until 1:00 p.m. to contact her attorney to see if she was willing to provide a statement. Detective Murphy asked if I would stay at the office until 1 o'clock p.m. to see if Marone would provide a statement. Detective Murphy advised Marone had walked outside the Chanhassen District office to make the phone call via cell phone. I advised Detective Murphy I would wait, and he and Detective Nucci cleared the office. At approximately 12:55 p.m., I walked outside to find that Marone had left the area and was nowhere to be found. I called Marone's cell phone, but she did not answer. I left a voicemail and advised Marone if she wished to provide a statement to call me back. If you wish to provide a statement, call us back. Marone did not call me back. I then contacted Sergeant Meyer, and I advised him that I was finishing with the statements. Sergeant Meyer advised me to return to Paisley Park because a search warrant was being drafted for Paisley Park. I returned to Paisley Park, and while on scene, Marone arrived at Paisley Park. Sergeant Meyer noticed Marone and stopped and talked with her. Sergeant Meyer then advised Marone would give a statement and asked for me to conduct it. I escorted Marone into an office area just off from the main entrance inside of Paisley Park. I asked Marone what she did for Prince, and she said she was his assistant. Marone said she did whatever Prince asked her to do, pretty much simple things. I asked Marone if she observed any health issues with Prince over the past couple of weeks, and Marone said he had the flu. Marone said this is why Prince canceled the show in Atlanta on April 7th. I asked Marone what kind of schedule she had working as Prince's assistant. Marone said she would come to work in the afternoon and has worked for Prince the last year and a half. Marone said Prince just talked about not feeling good because of the flu. Marone said that the last couple of weeks Prince had been quiet and that was not normal. Marone did not know if Prince was on any medication. And Marone said she had never bought him anything. Marone said she never bought him anything and didn't know if he was on any meds. Marone said she only bought Prince items for constipation, and that was it. The thought process is, out of all the things that are important right now, you're worried about violating an NDA, and then you go and you say something like that. Not sure that I would just, okay. Marone said over the past couple of weeks that the only people who were in Paisley Park were the inner circle: Kirk, Marone, Hannah, and Joshua. Well, we know that's not true. I don't know if these people are being conveniently forgetful or mistakenly forgetful, but they're forgetting about Judith and they're forgetting about Larry. And I'm sure there's more. If I really sit down and think about that, I'm sure that I could come up with a couple more names. Marone said the last time she saw Prince with Dr. Schulenberg. You know, Dr. Schulenberg had visited Paisley Park in recent time. Well, Dr. Schulenberg visited on the 7th. So that's a few weeks. Anyway, all right. Marone said the last time she saw Prince was on the 20th at approximately 4:30 p.m. Marone arrived to go with Prince and Kirk to his doctor's appointment. And my question with that has always been, Okay, I understand wanting to take like one other person with you to the doctor. But why would you ever have two people? So that's okay. But as it turns out, Marone was turned away and sent home because Kirk was already there. So Marone arrived to go with Prince and Kirk to his doctor's appointment, but Prince told her not to come and he would just go with Kirk. Marone left, going to her room at the hotel, and came back to Paisley Park around 7 7 p.m. to open the doors for the chef. Marone does not know if Prince ate his meal, and she said she left Paisley Park around 10:30 p.m. Marone said she did not have anything else to provide, so I stopped the recorded conversation. So we're supposed to believe that the reason that Marone is taking off and not wanting to talk and not wanting to provide a statement is because she was covering this up, what she just disclosed. Something tells me that Marone knows a lot more than what she is willing to tell police. I exited the room and met with Sergeant Meyer, advising him that Marone did not offer much information. Well, Carver County Detective Nelson, why didn't you push a little bit more? Why didn't you ask her those tough questions? Why did you accept such little information? I know that, when other people are being questioned about things totally unrelated to anything Prince or, whatever, but just, you don't get to choose whether you're going to give a statement or not in a situation like a death. And if the police feel that you know more than what you're willing to admit or talk about, they're going to keep asking you questions. So again, this just feels to me personally like she's being given a pass. She gets to choose how much she wants to talk about. She gets to choose what she wants to say. And she gets to choose whether she even feels like showing up at Paisley to finish talking about, or to start talking about what happened to Prince. All right, at 2:28 p.m., I was advised the search warrant for property was signed. At that time, the body of Prince was photographed and DNA swabs were taken from various parts of his body. I did not conduct any searching of the body, and that action was performed by the Hennepin County Crime Lab. Once Prince's body was removed from the area by the elevator, Hennepin County Crime Lab began to photograph the entire complex. All of the detectives and command staff on scene then had a meeting to discuss the best practice to search the large complex. It was decided that the detectives would start on the second floor after it was photographed and then move to the first floor. On the second floor, it appeared to have the bedrooms for Prince along with dressing rooms. The first area I searched was what appeared to be the master suite of Paisley Park. Before entering into the room, I placed black latex gloves on my hands to not contaminate anything. The room had a dressing room area and a wood floor. The dressing room area was white with a blue sky trim at the top. The room had a small, stage area and 3 steps leading to the top of it. The dressing room area had a white vanity with white light bulbs all around the mirror. The counter was relatively clean, but did have some clear drinking glasses on them. Were those counted as anything evidence-wise? I did not start my search in the dressing room area. I moved from the dressing room area up the small white carpeted stairs, 5 of them, leading to the master suite. Inside the room, I noted it was clean with a round bed with a top. The walls in the room were white with a purple trim toward the ceiling. In this room, I searched the closet in the far southeast wall. Inside the closet were file cabinets, which were unlocked, and a briefcase. I opened the unlocked black briefcase, and inside was nothing to note for evidence. Inside the file cabinets were pictures and some files. Nothing to note for evidence. I then moved along the south wall and searched behind the drapes. I searched a couch, coffee table, and then another set of drapes. Nothing to note for evidence. I found a glass door that led out to a patio area, but it appeared it had not been used in some time. I came to an opening in the wall for a small area with a sink and cabinets. I was advised the area was already searched, along with the bathroom and hallway leading to the bathroom. I returned to the northeast corner of the room and searched the closet in that area. Inside the closet was stereo equipment and nothing for evidence. I cleared the master suite and moved to the next room to the north. Okay. Alright, so I cleared the master suite and moved to the next room to the north on the east side of the second floor. This room was another dressing room that had clothing, shoes, hats, and shelves with jewelry. The room had a wood floor with white walls. When I entered the room, other detectives were inside starting their search. I asked if anyone had searched the white shelves and was advised that no one had. I started my search in this room with the shelves. The first shelf had hats on it and was checked. I moved to the second shelf, which had jewelry and a white box. I opened the white box, and inside I could see it contained jewelry. I moved some of it because I had observed white tissue paper used for gifts inside. I picked up the tissue paper and opened it. When I opened the paper, I located a number of white pills with the stamp of Watson 853 on them. I advised Detective Wagner of the find, and she looked up what the pills were on drugs.com. Detective Wagner also had Dr. Quinn Strobel, the medical examiner, look at the pills. The pills were identified as hydrocodone by Detective Wagner using the web page called drugs.com. I requested that a Hennepin County crime scene deputy come and photograph the pills. A Hennepin County deputy came and the pills were photographed. I then counted the pills, and there were 15 of the hydrocodone pills. Detective Wagner and Dr. Strobel also counted and confirmed that there were 15 pills. The pills were then collected and placed into an evidence bag. I continued my search of the shelves and did not locate anything else. This was the only area in the dressing room that I searched and cleared. Wow, that kind of happened magically a little bit. Okay, all right. The next room I was directed to search was what we labeled as the green room on the second floor. I was advised by Detective Wagner that this was the room Prince used to sleep on a regular basis. When I entered this room, a shower was to the right. Inside the room was a glass top desk against the wall on the left-hand side with a chair. Then there was a bed in the middle with a nightstand to the right of the bed. It appeared that someone had been sleeping in the bed at some time because the comforter was pulled back and open. On the far wall was another glass table, garbage can, and then a small plug-in heater. There was a TV that was hanging on the wall with the entertainment table underneath the TV. A bathroom was in the northwest corner of this bedroom that had a toilet and sink area. While in this room, Sergeant Meyer advised me that he had located a small white pill lying on the ground. The pill was on the bed skirting and appeared to be the same as I had found in the dressing room. I located the pill and advised for a Hennepin County crime tech to photograph the pill. The pill was photographed and I collected it as evidence. On the small white pill, I observed the same marking of Watson 853. Hydrocodone stamped on it. Okay, so it's not saying that it was stamped with the word hydrocodone. It's saying that it had the same stamp as the 15 pills. So it looked like it was hydrocodone. I then located a black hand-carrying bag lying on the bed. I began to search the black bag and located a passport for Prince Rogers Nelson inside. I also located a bunch of $100 bills. The bills were removed and placed into an envelope to be placed in safekeeping by Sergeant Meyer. Sergeant Meyer counted the money and I continued to search. I continued to search the bag and did not locate anything else except jewelry / cosmetics and a nasal spray bottle. I moved my search over to the nightstand. Was the spray bottle tested? I moved my search over to the nightstand on the right side of the bed. I located on the top of the stand two over the count. Okay. I located on the top of the stand two over-the-counter pain relievers. One was a Bayer container, and the other was Aleve. I opened the Bayer container and located Watson 853 pills inside the container. And it's, I think, important to note that this is being called hydrocodone. But because later we find out that there was pills that were counterfeit and laced with fentanyl, that it's kind of almost irresponsible to be calling everything hydrocodone. But anyway, all right. So I advised Detective Wagner and she counted the pills. Detective Wagner counted 64 and a half pills, and I confirmed that count. I then looked into the Aleve bottle and located more white pills with the stamp of Watson 853, hydrocodone. I counted the pills, and inside were 20 and a half pills. Detective Wagner confirmed the count of pills. I contacted a Hennepin County deputy to photograph the two bottles and contents. Detective Wagner collected the items and placed them into evidence bags. I continued to search the room and did not locate anything else. I continued... Wow. Does anybody else feel like suddenly they knew right where to look for... I mean, I know that they're professionals, that this is their job, but it's just kind of ironic that right away the jewelry box with the little tiny tissue paper and 15 pills appear. And then here too. I don't know. Okay. I did not locate anything else. I continued the search to search other areas of the complex and did not locate anything else of interest. The search warrant on Paisley Park was completed at 5:55 p.m. and detectives cleared. After we cleared Paisley Park, detectives returned to the sheriff's office and looked at the cell phone numbers of the individuals we had taken statements from. Detective Pat Murphy went to the internet to search each phone number to locate which carrier provided service. It was determined that Schulenberg, Taika, and Joshua all had Verizon cell phone providers. Detective Murphy sent Verizon wireless preservation letters for the call history and text messages associated with the numbers. After this was completed, I cleared the sheriff's office and was out of service. So one thing that's standing out to me from what we just read is the fact that they're saying that detectives cleared the scene and Paisley Park and everything, but nowhere in here does it say caution tape. Nowhere in here does it say that the original people who were at Paisley Park at the time of the emergency were gone. And we know that Kirk and his family were up in Paisley Park on the night of. And we read earlier in another report, in a previous video, that on a whole different date, 3 weeks later than the 21st, that then, you know, when they had interest in the vault and everything and completing the search warrant, I believe, that that's when uniformed officers guarded Paisley Park, but not the night that he died. Then we go from that, and we're going to jump over to the autopsy. Okay. On 4/22/2016 at approximately 8:50 a.m., Detective Angela Nucci and I, and remember, this is Detective Chris Nelson. So Nelson and Nucci met with medical examiner Dr. Quinn Strobel, who was going to perform the autopsy of Prince. At approximately 9 a.m., Dr. Strobel started the autopsy and noted that Prince was wearing his clothes backwards. Dr. Strobel said Prince's pants and shirts were on backwards. Prince was wearing a cut, long sleeve black shirt and a gray shirt with the sleeves cut off under. Dr. Strobel said Prince was wearing boxer briefs, but were on the correct way. A black stocking hat was also removed from Prince's head. Dr. Strobel asked if the sheriff's office wanted Prince's clothes as evidence, and I advised we did. Okay, so really quick, the clothes on backwards. If you're wearing, okay, if I'm wearing a pair of just, you know, lounging pants that don't have pockets or whatever, God, I can't say that I've ever accidentally put my pants on backwards. Even sweatpants, even lounging pants. It just fits a different way. It doesn't fit right. The pants, no matter what brand they are, for the most part, generally speaking, the for lack of better wording, the butt part of your pants is going to feel weird when you put your pants on backwards. It's not going to feel right in your crotchal region. It's not going to feel right in your butt region. So there's that. And then the part where, so that's his pants, and his shirts were on backwards. 2 shirts were on backwards. And then on top of that, his boxer briefs were on the correct way. So what that leads me to think is that at one point he was only wearing his underwear, and he was correct with the way he was wearing them. When the pants and the shirts got involved, those were both, all of them were backwards. So then, did somebody dress him? Or was he having an emergency of some sort at the time that he got himself dressed? Was he possibly naked at the time that he died, except for his underwear? How did his clothing get on backwards? And I'm just wondering, like, did anybody question that? Did anybody question that? It's good that they're pointing out that the clothes were on backwards, but did anyone push that a little bit further? I'm going to guess no, because Kirk pled the fifth. Never really talked about in detail that I've heard of dressing Prince. All right. Dr. Strobel asked if we wanted Prince's clothes. I advised we did. The clothing was gathered and placed into evidence bags by Dr. Strobel and sealed. Dr. Strobel continued her autopsy and advised she did not see any trauma to the body of Prince. I think of the Jennifer Jeffers story when I'm reading that. Dr. Strobel completed the autopsy at approximately 1 p.m. and said it would be numerous weeks to determine a cause of death. Dr. Strobel had no other information to provide at the time, and we cleared. Detective Nucci and I took custody of the evidence bags that contained Prince's clothing at the time of death. Detective Nucci entered the items into evidence at the sheriff's office. Okay. Video from Walgreens, lead number 14. On 4/22/16 at approximately 1:30 p.m., I drove to the Walgreens on Highway 101 and Highway 7 to check if they had video of Kirk Johnson picking up medications or of Prince at the scene. I was advised by the store manager and loss prevention district manager that they could not release the video. They advised they did have video, but management had locked the video, so no associate could view or release it. I was given phone numbers of management to request the video for our investigation. I returned. So it's 1:30 in the afternoon and it's locked up and there's... Gotta actually call a manager even though you're right there at the wall. Okay. I returned to the office and called the phone numbers. I called a Phil Caruso and Emily Hartwig and left them messages as they were the media officials with the video. Neither of them answered, so I left phone messages. I then sent an email to Phil Caruso and Emily Hartwig. At approximately 7:44 p.m., I received an email from Terry Ryland and a phone call. I received an email and a phone call. I talked with Ryland and advised him I was seeking the video. I gave Ryland the information I was requesting, and Ryland asked for an administrative subpoena. On 4/25/16, I wrote the subpoena, and it was signed by Assistant County Attorney David Hunt. I then faxed the subpoena requesting all of the information/video associated with Prince Rogers Nelson, Marone, no middle name, Becure, and Kirk Anthony Johnson on 4/20 or other dates. I was then contacted by Timothy Belka and advised that Walgreens had received the subpoena and asked other questions. I answered Belka's questions and he advised he would look for the videos and would send them to me. On 4/27/16, I talked with Belka via phone and learned that he had found 3 videos from Walgreens stores. Belka advised he would email me the videos with descriptions. I received the email, and the first video was from a Walgreens located at 7845 Portland Avenue South in the city of Bloomington, Minnesota 55420. The date of the video is from 4/14/16, the date the Percocet was filled and issued to Kirk Johnson by Dr. Schulenberg for Prince. The second video is from a Walgreens located at 4950 County Road 101 in Minnetonka, Minnesota 55345 on 4/20/16. In this video, Kirk Johnson fills prescriptions during Prince's doctor visit with Dr. Schulenberg at 5:49 p.m. and is by himself. The last video is from the same Walgreens location in Minnetonka, and hour later, that must be an hour later, at 7:04 p.m. after Prince's doctor visit. I thanked Belka for the video and downloaded all videos to a CD, placing the CD into evidence at the sheriff's office. So, I have to point this out. I've seen those videos, and they jump. The time jumps. Okay, Prince's medical records, Ridgeview Medical Center, lead number 28. Again, this is Detective Chris Nelson's report. Her badge number is 839. On 4/26/16, I wrote a search warrant for Prince's medical records located at the Highway 212 Medical Center in Chaska, Minnesota. On 4/27/16, I met with the Honorable Judge Eric Broughton at approximately 1:25 p.m. and he reviewed the search warrant. Judge Broughton reviewed the warrant and signed it. I then called the Ridgeview Medical Center and talked with a Jennifer in records. I advised Jennifer I had a signed search warrant for Prince's records, and she advised she had already pulled the records. I drove to the hospital and served the warrant on 4/27/16 at approximately 4:15 p.m. I received all of Prince's medical records from his visits with Ridgeview. I received records that showed Prince's medical emergency on 4/21/16. The paramedics checked a box on their form that showed Prince had vomit in his airway and his eyes were closed. In the narrative history on the paramedics' record, it reads, "Patient was taken yesterday by family clinic doctor for nervous and anxious. Patient given meds to relax, and per family, patient stated it's not enough. Patient last seen at his home last night. Okay, sorry. Patient last seen at, I thought it meant by the doctor. And so I'm like, what? Okay. Patient last seen at his home last night and today found supine, I hope I'm saying that right, not breathing. Fire arrived and pulled patient out of elevator and started CPR. Upon our arrival, CPR in progress. Patient limbs are stiff, arms bent and unable to straighten. CPR stopped due to rigor mortis. Patient has vomit in mouth. Leads applied and asystole confirmed. Medical control contacted and time of death confirmed at 10:07 a.m. Clear scene. I continued to read the record from 4/21/16 and learned that no AED was used and the death was unwitnessed. I then found a medical record for Prince from 10/23/13. This record shows Prince was admitted into the emergency department at 7:58 p.m. on 10/23/13 after being transported by ambulance. In this report, Prince complains about vomiting and dehydration. Prince was assisted to the ambulance on the gurney and transported to the emergency room. While at the hospital, the doctor treating Prince wrote in her report the following: patient very symptomatic with orthostatic vital signs and has elevated white blood count with left shift. Bicarb is only 19, suggesting he had not been eating for some time, and potassium slightly low at 3.4. Declined the Zofran offered as he would prefer to be as natural as possible. Liter of normal saline given and will give liter of D5 half normal with 20 I don't know how to say that. 20 with a little M, a big E, and a little Q. I don't know what that is. Of potassium. Instructed patient, he will need to be able to keep at least some water down, so we'll try a PO challenge when ready. Prince was then discharged from the hospital at 11:02 p.m. on 10/23/13. Now we're going to get into the medical records from North Memorial Hospital in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, lead number 12. On 4/26/16, I called North Memorial Records and asked to talk with a supervisor. I made contact with a supervisor and I advised I had written a search warrant for the medical records of Prince. The supervisor advised he would pass the information on to the attorney who represents North Memorial. A short time later, I received a phone call from attorney Joseph Dixon with Frederickson and Byron. Dixon said he was representing North Memorial and was willing to help with my request. On 4/27/16, the next day, I arrived at the Hennepin County Government Center to meet with the Honorable Judge Daniel Mobley. I advised Judge Mobley I had a search warrant for the medical records for Prince at North Memorial. Judge Mobley read the application and signed the warrant. I swore the information was true to the best of my knowledge. I thanked Judge Mobley and cleared the courthouse. I met with Dixon on 4/28, the following day, 2016, at approximately 9:30 a.m. and discussed what information I was looking for at North Memorial. I showed Dixon a copy of the search warrant that asked for the records. Dixon and I talked for about an hour and agreed to what? Till the following week? Oh my God. Dixon and I talked for about an hour and agreed to what? Till the following week. To wait till the following week? To execute the warrant so he could collect all the information requested. I cleared North Memorial. These typos are something else. Okay. On 5/4/16, I received a call from Dixon advising he had all the records ready for pickup. Dixon and I set a meeting for 5/5/16 at 1:30 p.m. at North Memorial in Robbinsdale. On 5/5 at 1:30 p.m., I served Dixon the search warrant. Dixon said he was able to find all the records for Prince and placed it into a file folder. Dixon also advised he located video of Prince, Kirk, and Dr. Schulenberg at the North Memorial Clinic in Minnetonka. Dixon placed the video on a jump drive and gave it to me along with all the records. I continued to talk with Dixon and thanked him for his time. I returned to the sheriff's office and started to review the video that was provided by Dixon of Prince's last visit with Dr. Schulenberg on the 20th, just after 5 p.m. In the video, Dr. Schulenberg is seen walking out the doors of the clinic and into the parking lot. Kirk and Prince are then seen walking with Dr. Schulenberg into the clinic. Prince is wearing black, tight pants, black shirt, black coat, and a stocking hat. Prince, Kirk, and Dr. Schulenberg enter the clinic at approximately 5:06 p.m. and walk out of sight. At 5:38 p.m., Kirk is seen walking out of the clinic and then returns at 6:05 p.m. At 6:29 p.m., Dr. Schulenberg walks Prince and Kirk out of the clinic. I reviewed the medical records for Prince and found a letter from Dixon. In the letter dated May 5, 2016, Dixon explains that North Memorial changed Prince's name in their system to a Peter Vang. Dixon advised North Memorial also changed Kirk Johnson's name in the system to John Pellegrino. The names were changed to protect other employees from looking into the files. I then started to review the medical records for Prince. I started by looking at Dr. Schulenberg's notes from the April 7th, 2016 visit. I learned the following from Dr. Schulenberg's report. It reads as follows. Patient is 57-year-old male who is seen at his home for recent onset of a variety of complaints. He has been vomiting over the night, which means that April 6th is when trouble started. Just wanted to add that part in there. Okay. He has been vomiting over the night and thought it might be related to something he ate. I think that's significant. Because later on, what happens? He eats, and then boom, he's unconscious. And this is on the 15th, on the way home. Okay. No fever is noted, no chills, but did feel cold overnight. No diarrhea, not really, and abdominal pain. Okay, so not really any abdominal pain, and nausea is not prominent. Was concerned that he might need some IVF as these have helped in the past. Overnight, as well as noted numbness and tingling in the right leg below the level of the knee. No injury noted, and has not had symptoms like this in the past. Feels like pins and needles, but does not seem to be waking up like he would expect. Similar symptoms are noted in both hands. He is supposed to leave for town today for a show as well. Denies any back pain. Has history of hip pain. No changes in bowel or bladder functions are noted. No neck pain. No other concerns were noted at the time of the home visit. He was brought to the office for IVF, and during that time complained of feeling some odd sensation in the left eye, as if something was present in it. Feels he is out of balance at this time. Was not interested in any blood testing. So, actually, feeling out of balance, feels like something's in his eye. There was something I was going to say, I lost it. It's okay. The notes for 4/7/16 say that Prince later came to the clinic and was given, and really quick, the notes say that Prince later came to the clinic, but Dr. Schulenberg changes his story about how Prince even got to the clinic later. At one point, he says that he transported him, and at another point, he says that he arranged for Prince to be brought there, and then it says, also, I think that Kirk brought him there. So, now here, it says, the notes for 4/7 say that Prince later came to the clinic and was given 1 liter of normal saline, and it was administered through an IV in the right forearm. Dr. Schulenberg checked with Prince the next day, and Prince said that the numbness and tingling in both hands and right leg were resolved and clear. I then reviewed the medical records from 4/20/16, which is this. Patient is a 57-year-old male who presents with a friend today, Kirk Johnson, for feeling antsy. Symptoms started today. He thinks it might be related to stopping Tylenol, the last of which he took this morning. So this is the 20th, and he's feeling antsy, and he thinks that the reason why is because he stopped taking Tylenol. And by this time, there's lots of prescriptions that are going on in Kirk's name. Prescriptions that are being called in but not picked up until, a week later for a bad tooth. And herpes. Okay. So the last of which he took this morning, the Tylenol, on the 20th. When questioned if the Tylenol contained any other ingredients, who would even ask that question? He stated he did not know. Independent sources of history have informed me the Tylenol... What? This is the doctor's report. This is all in quotes. This is, it says, the very top of this paragraph says, I learned the following from Dr. Schulenberg's notes as he wrote them. And then he quoted the notes. And, symptoms started today. He thinks, now this is Dr. Schulenberg's wording. Symptoms started today. He thinks it might be related to stopping Tylenol, the last of which he took this morning. When questioned if the Tylenol contains any other ingredients, he stated that he did not know. Independent sources of history have informed me. The doctor? Have informed the doctor that Tylenol also contains hydrocodone. Okay, so he had to be told that. All right. Then there has been no nausea or vomiting. He has not had any of the neurologic symptoms he had the last time I seen him. Which was the 7th. Hold on a minute. From the 20th. The 20th. Okay. Just trying to keep everything straight. Okay. So, let's see. Denies any pain except some mild discomfort in the hip. No diarrhea, just feeling antsy, anxious, and in need of something calming. Feels some IVF may help to restore balance. So that's the second time we're hearing about balance feeling off. He is open to having some labs done today and expressed concern about his adrenal glands due to persistent fatigue. Some hoarseness and weakness to his voice. Mild shakiness, but no overt tremors. No fevers. No URI symptoms. No cough. No chest pain. No shortness of breath. No palpitations. And that's the end quote. I continued to read the notes and learned that Dr. Schulenberg ordered medications for Prince, and they were clonidine, hydroxyzine, Pomote, and diazepam, which is Valium. So clonidine, hydroxyzine, and Valium. Dr. Schulenberg also had Prince complete a urine test, which resulted in a positive test results for. Dr. Schulenberg also had Prince complete a urine test, which resulted in a positive test result for opiates. But I'm sorry, didn't Schulenberg prescribe opiates? The test was sent off and confirmed with the following results on 4/25/16. Positive for hydrocodone 253 nanogram/milligram. I don't know what that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend to know. Okay, hydrocodone 253 NGs/mLs, milliliter, and hydromorphone 87 NGs/milliliters for the levels. On 4/21/16, Dr. Schulenberg added progress notes that stated the following. We'll check some labs today. If the Tylenol indeed contains hydrocodone, there is a concern of opiate withdrawal. Patient did have 1 liter of normal saline infused in the office at his request and tolerated well without any complications. I then looked at the medical records for Kirk Johnson pertaining to what Dr. Schulenberg admitted to me in his statement. Dr. Schulenberg advised Kirk called wanting to get something for Prince because his hip was hurting. Dr. Schulenberg admitted to ordering Percocet for Prince, but placing the medication in Kirk's name. I looked at the report for Kirk, and it showed that on 4/14/16, which is the same day of the Atlanta concert, and it's the same day that Dr. Sarah Boo, excuse me, dentist Sarah Boo prescribed Tylenol 3 with codeine and, Valtrex. So that's on the same day. So looking at the notes for Kirk's record, on 4/14/16, Kirk did make contact with Dr. Schulenberg and medication of Percocet was approved. The following is Dr. Schulenberg's medical notes pertaining to the phone call he had with Kirk Johnson on 4/14/16. Patient called and is leaving town for Atlanta for a concern shortly. A concert shortly, and hurt his back lifting equipment. Now, I could have sworn it was just 2 seconds ago that we were reading a whole different story, because this now says back pain after lifting equipment. First of all, you're Prince. Are you lifting your own equipment? And secondly, I thought it was the hip. I thought this was about hip pain, and that's why he needed pain medication. So, no matter what, there's a lie going on. Was wondering if he could get something. Reviewed symptoms of low back axial pain without alarm systems. Symptoms. Sorry. Okay. Was wondering if he could get something. Reviewed symptoms of low back axial pain without alarm symptoms. One-time script for Percocet that he could pick up. FYI, I have known patient for 15 plus years. and this is a very rare request. Patient is aware he will need to come and pick up script. End quote. I finished looking through the medical records and entered them into evidence at the Carver County Sheriff's Office. All right, I guess we're going to leave that subject and we're going to go to the medical examiner found a lethal amount of fentanyl in Prince's system. Okay. On 5/9/16, Sergeant Meyer asked Detective Wagner and I to meet in his office. Detective Wagner and I arrived at Sergeant Meyer's office and learned that Prince had a very high amount of fentanyl in his blood that was taken at autopsy. Sergeant Meyer instructed Detective Wagner to start working on a new search warrant and to relay the information to Mark Lombardi, who is working the case with us from the DEA. We met with Lombardi and discussed the information with him at our meeting, which was at 1 o'clock p.m. On 5/9/16 at 4:10 p.m. Sergeant DeWitt Meyer asked me if I had requested the blood for Prince when it was drawn on 4/20/16 at North Memorial by Dr. Schulenberg. I advised I did not, but would call North Memorial. I called North Memorial's attorney, Joseph Dixon, and asked him about the blood and learned the blood was sent to the medical examiner's office. I contacted Sergeant Meyer via cell phone and relayed the information that the blood taken from Prince on the 20th was at the medical examiner's office. Sergeant Meyer advised he would call the medical examiner to have the blood sent for further testing for fentanyl. Sergeant Meyer worked the details out with Dr. Strobel, and the blood would be further tested for fentanyl. Second search warrant at Paisley Park with DEA. On 5/10/16, I was notified by Detective Wagner that a new search warrant was drafted for Paisley Park, 7801 Audubon Road in Chanhassen, Minnesota, to look for the source of the fentanyl. I was advised that the DEA and our staff were going to meet in the sheriff's office at approximately 4 o'clock p.m. The DEA agents arrived at the sheriff's office and we had a briefing about the warrant and process. On 5/10/16 at 5:44 p.m., Carver County detectives and DEA agents arrived on scene at Paisley Park and served the warrant to Bremer Bank, which is the trustee for Paisley Park. The bank trustee looked at the warrant and unlocked the doors to Paisley Park. Once inside Paisley Park, the DEA went ahead and started to number the rooms so we knew where items of significance came from. When the DEA was finished numbering the rooms, we started our search of Paisley Park. I started off in room number 6, the green room, which was where Prince slept. On the left side of the room, I located 3 small clear plastic bags. It was unknown if it contained anything, but was collected for testing. I packaged the bags and brought them to investigations assistant Nikki Schmidt to enter the items as evidence. I returned to room number 6 and continued to search. I then found a red notebook with some writing on it of names and phone numbers of people I did not know. I found the red notebook on the left side of the bed on a chair. I asked Detective Wagner if she wanted to collect the red notebook, and she said yes because of the phone numbers. The item was collected and placed into an evidence bag. I again returned to room number 6 and had DEA agent Mark Lombardi assist me in the search of the room. I found the bedding that was on Prince's bed, during the first search warrant was already taken off the bed and placed into plastic bags. In another bag, I located towels that used to be in the bathroom of Prince's bedroom, room number 6. I inventoried the towels as such: 1 cream hand towel, 1 white hand towel, 1 tan bath towel, 1 peach towel, and 1 white bath towel. The towels were packaged and entered into evidence along with the bags of the bedding. DEA agent Lombardi was searching a black suitcase that was located on the floor of room number 6 when he located in a CVS vitamin C bottle 7 white oblong pills with the stamp Watson 853 on them. Agent Lombardi then located another CVS vitamin C bottle with 49 white oblong pills with the stamp Watson 853 on them. Agent Lombardi also located 3 half pills that were of the white oblong type. The items were collected by Agent Lombardi and packaged and placed into evidence. I continued searching and remembered from the first search warrant that there were some Kleenexes on the right side of the bed on the nightstand. The Kleenexes were still on the nightstand, so I collected them and packaged them. I turned them into evidence. I then finished in the room and moved to the lower level of Paisley Park to room I. Looks like I. I searched this small room, I, with DEA agent Terrence Olstad. The only item that was collected was a copy of a confidentiality agreement between Prince and a party named Evan Backey, or Back. The paper was collected and placed into evidence. Agent Olstad and I then cleared the room and continued to search other areas. Since the start of the search started earlier in the evening, it was decided to stop the search for the night and have 2 deputies arrive on scene to hold the residence. At approximately, I'll say it again, the night that Prince dies, no one's guarding Paisley Park. You don't see caution tape. But the night that a search warrant is cut off in the middle of it, 3 weeks later, there are officers to hold the fort down. All right. At approximately 11:30 p.m., all agents and detectives cleared except Sergeant Meyer and I, which is Chris Nelson, Detective Chris Nelson. We stayed on scene and waited for Sergeant Michael Wolin and Deputy Carly Barrett to arrive to hold the scene. Sergeant Wolin and Deputy Barrett arrived at approximately midnight. The scene was taken over by them until the following morning. On 5/11/16, Sergeant Dave McDonald and I don't know what that is. CPL. Okay, well, I'll have to look that one up. I'll have to Google that. Sergeant Dave McDonald and capital CPL Kurt Schoening relieved Sergeant Wolin and Deputy Barrett at 6 a.m. and were on scene when we arrived. On 5/11/16, DEA agents and detectives from the Carver County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene at approximately 9 a.m. and continued our search of Paisley Park. Once we completed the search, it was determined that the vault needed to be searched. You think? Bremer Bank advised they were flying in a person who could drill into the safe, but that he was coming on Sunday. It was determined that the Sheriff's Office and DEA would continue to hold the scene until the safe was searched. Numerous deputies were contacted and worked 24 hours a day to secure and hold Paisley Park in our control until the safe was opened. And that's a sad point in this investigation, I think, is that we care about the money. Care about the money. We don't care about, we don't care about actually investigating what happened to Prince, who's now dead. We just care about what's in that vault. We care so much that we're going to get all these officers to work 24 hours a day to guard, but not on the 21st. In fact, it's a free-for-all. On 5/12/2016, the DEA and Sergeant Meyer, Detective Wagner, and I arrived on scene. We were advised the person who was going to open the safe and had arrived and was getting ready to start working on the vault. We arrived and the adult male started drilling into the safe. Attorneys that, wow, so adult male. No names. That's very interesting. Okay. The adult male started drilling into the safe. Attorneys that represented the brothers and sisters. Again, no names. What is going on? Attorneys that represented the brothers and sisters were in attendance along with the U.S. Attorney's Office and Bremer Bank officials handling the trust. Once the vault was opened, detectives and DEA agents entered and searched the vault. Inside the vault were numerous music recordings and personal items. I did not locate anything of evidence inside the vault. How well did you really look through the vault? Once the vault was searched, oh my God, okay. The vault door was repaired and turned over to Bremer Bank. Detectives and DEA agents then cleared Paisley Park. This is the end of the report. Well, okay, stay tuned for the next one.